So let's get back to where we were. We said action number one was we have to increase due diligence. And again, the rest of these workshops are going to go in some detail over how you do that. What sort of soil how do you know where to test and what to test for? How do you interpret those results? What does the appraiser do? What does the lawyer do? What does the engineer do? So that's all the due diligence pieces that are still coming. But the other piece of this is, of course, the Sierra Fund always brings in a policy piece. And how do we increase pace and scale of mine remediation? What are the new policies to incentivize mine remediation? So we have in our book, about half of it goes over these issues. And I'm just going to give you a couple of actions right now. I'm going to give you a case story, a case study. We have 8 case studies in the report. And each of them underscores one of our big actions that we're seeking. So this case study is about the Blue Lead. It was a gold mine that was proposed in Nevada County in 2015. And it was an open pit gold mine on a 74-acre site. The proponent of the project was going to use hydraulic mine technology. He was actually going to get out there with a monitor and tear up the place 15 acres at a time. The county in its wisdom found that that wasn't a very important impact, and they were adopted a mitigated negative declaration as their environmental document. As part of their environmental documents, they didn't actually look at the water quality impacts of opening a new mine, hydraulic open pit mine on an old hydraulic open pit mine. The Blue Lead gold mine was hydraulically mined in the 1880s to the 1940s. So people know it's got what's called proven reserves. They know the gold's there. It makes the gold miners super itchy. They want to get at it. But in California, because the way the laws work, the county can approve the mine permit and the environmental review document and the financial assurances and all of that, which were abysmally low and ridiculous for this mitigated negative deck, without looking at water quality. The water quality review happens at the next level, the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board. But we presented to the board that this site, it was hydraulically mined, therefore it has mercury on it, therefore they should do something about requiring water quality monitoring and management as part of the reclamation plan. The Board of Supervisors quickly ran into a back room during the hearing, talked with themselves, came back and said, no, that'll happen at the next level at the Regional Water Board. Well, the neighbors sued. That lawsuit never saw the light of day. Somebody signed something, that permit died. We know hydraulic mines are sources of mercury. We've studied them. We've done many projects like this. There's experts on this phone call that know that what we're saying is the truth. So what is this weird blindness where we permit a new mine on top of an old mine that's not even mentioned in the environmental documents? This is happening again here in Grass Valley. We have a big gold mine proposed for downtown Grass Valley, right under my house, actually, with the ore body they're going after. And this is the third time through. They always want to ignore the existing gold mine, the 150-year-old gold mine that's right there. We can see it. So it's this weird blindness that we see over and over again in the policy world, as well as in this acquisition and banking world. So what we're calling for is, step one is take some action, and thank heavens, we now have 2 organs of government calling for action. The President Biden recently issued his executive order tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad. And in that executive order, he actually talks about reclaiming abandoned mine lands. Now, I know he's mostly talking about coal country, but us Californians don't care. We're going to rush through that opening, and we're going to talk to them about California's gold mines and how very serious the remediation needs are. Last August, the California Legislative Analyst's Office published a report improving California's response to the environmental and safety hazards caused by abandoned mines. This is the first time the LAO's office has taken on this issue. So this was 2 very substantial policy changes that make us believe that there might be some momentum behind doing something and moving forward on some of these issues. So new leadership for mine remediation. The LAO's office pointed out, this is a chart from their report, that there's a lot of agencies, federal and state, that are sort of working on this. Some of them are regulators, some of them are landowners, some of them are funders, but they do not necessarily collaborate. They don't really collaborate. There's an abandoned mine lands unit task force that sometimes meets. The Sierra Fund has sometimes been allowed to attend those meetings. But the problem we've got is that we have a soil contaminant that turns into a water contaminant. Neither DTSC nor the Water Board really want to deal with it, because it's like mercury changes form when it goes from soil to water. Different agencies have different ways of ranking and addressing these different mines. Department of Conservation, again, a great, thank you so much, sponsor of our event here. Their abandoned mine lands unit only wants to work on physical hazards. They have money, a gold fee, $5 an ounce gold fee, which is silly, given that gold is $1,800 an ounce right now. But that fee, they've really only used it for sponsoring events like this and doing physical cleanup. So the LAO office called for a lead agency, someplace, somewhere in the agency world, that will take responsibility for guiding forward remediation strategies. And as part of that, improved coordination between the landowning and managing and stewarding, like the Department of Fish and Wildlife, they own abandoned mines, have them be able to coordinate with the regulatory agencies and maybe do some larger landscape level planning to clean up some of these messes. And of course, we need money. We need a lot more money to clean up these abandoned mines. I'm giving you a flavor of the report. This report is, long. We put it out last week. Some of you have probably read some of it. And we have many policy proposals, but I wanted to highlight this one as the second one. So the first recommendation is take some leadership, Governor Newsom, take some leadership, federal government, and designate people to actually be responsible for these problems instead of pushing it to some other agency, which has been happening for 170 years. The second piece, though, is why doesn't anybody see these as a problem? Why is that? And I want to say that one way the state of California keeps track of environmental hazards is something called the Cal Enviro Screen. This was invented. There's two tools. There's EnviroStore that Department of Toxic Substances has, which you can go on and it will tell you everything about a specific contaminated site. So Grass Valley has a number of these specific contaminated sites. They're on that EnviroStore database. But if you look at the way that the state looks at what they call environmental justice contaminants, places where it's not only contaminated, but poor people that don't have a voice live and are being ever more injured by the flow of the toxics, that's what this map is supposed to cover. And they look at exposures of ozone and drinking water, lead in housing, pesticides, the list you see on this screen. Weirdly, the most contaminated place, the place that was Richmond in 1880, Grass Valley, for example, these huge old mines, also on the coast where the mercury mines are, they're invisible to this screen. Nobody even thinks that there's a problem. And it's kind of wild because if you note the toxics, they seem to obey the county line. So the mercury contamination that's contaminating the river down at Yuba City and Marysville, that mercury is coming from us. But it's not shown as, we don't have a real problem up here. They show us as clean and green. Somehow Grass Valley, the city of Grass Valley and Wolf Creek had 700 hard rock gold mines at one point or another. Hundreds of miles of tunnels. No problem here, not even registering on the Enviro screen. And partly this is because it's supposed to talk about environmental justice issues. And when I ask the people that put it together, they say, well, it's all white people up there, or it's all not poor people. Well, I'll say there's a lot of poor people. The Sierra Nevada is home to great poverty. We have huge mansions and castles surrounded by like peasant huts up here in many places, a very, very disjointed economy, very poor people. And the environmental justice issue that it means the Indians, that what happened to the Indians is invisible, invisible. Tribal lands are invisible as an environmental justice problem. And we at the Sierra Fund think that this is just an example of people not grappling with the size of the problem, who it impacts, Who's catching and eating the fish up where we live? People that rely on that as a way to eat. It's poor people. So we are proposing a series, a whole platform of policy changes that we will be bringing to you. They're laid out in our report. They are extensive. They get more and more controversial, if you will, as the weeks go by. We will be walking through all of them.